So let's talk about hiking boots. I've got a new pair of boots and I thought I would just share some of my thoughts about those. But also I thought I'd say something about the trajectory by which I arrived at this particular pair of boots. When I started mountain walking, which would have been about 17 or 18 years ago I suppose, I started off with a pair of these. Now these are Echo Cheviot boots, I think they're called. Now don't let that name fool you. These are not hiking boots. They look the part and they're actually very good quality boots, but they're not walking boots. These are full grain leather and they're very comfortable, but they're really street boots. They don't have any, they're very soft leather. They don't have any ankle support essentially. They're wide fitting, but they're also quite soft. So again, there's a lot of give in them. You know, your feet slip and slide around in them. They've got very comfortable air cushioned soles, but again, these are not very tough soles. These are they will conform to the terrain and not terribly supportive in the kind of rough terrain that you might encounter on a typical mountain walk. So these weren't great. These are not the boots that I had originally, incidentally. These are a replacement pair that I bought subsequently, which is a measure of the quality of these boots. They are well worth having, and it's kind of interesting to note that once I've found something that works well, I kind of go in search of the same thing over and over again. Now that can be a good thing, obviously, if you find a good quality product, but as we'll see, it can be kind of a drag factor as well. So I suppose something like 12 or 13, 14 years ago, I graduated onto a proper mountain or a proper walking boot, should we call it, and I got these. These are Carrymore, I don't know what the name of the model is, but it's a GTX boot. GTX, you'll find, is attached to many different manufacturers' boots as a suffix. I think it just stands for Gore-Tex. Pretty much all the boots I've had Gore-Tex lining in, which is a drawback in the summer because it keeps the moisture in from your sweaty feet rather than keeping the moisture out, but it's an asset as well. Now these were great boots and they still are. It's a fabric boot essentially with leather that looks like nubuck leather. It's quite a high cut boot, good support, very tough sole. The sole's beginning to wear at the moment. But these were great, and these have served me well walking in the mountains as well as doing general trail walking and that kind of thing. Now I should say, when I say mountain walking, these have got flexible soles. You can't put crampons on these, so they're really a two-season boot if you're going to be looking at mountain walking, which is why I've also got yet another pair of boots. I think these are Brasher boots. These are, you know, very traditional. These are completely made of very high quality leather, very rigid in terms of the support they give, which can be quite hard on your feet until you get them broken in. These are probably not even broken in now. They've got a almost completely rigid sole, so you can put crampons on these. But getting back to the plot, you know, 10 years on or more, these boots are getting a little bit tired, and you know, they're starting to kind of fold in on themselves a little bit, and they're not as supportive as they could be. The soles are starting to wear. I mean, they've still got life in them yet, but you know, it's like an old tyre. The tread looks good until you put it next to a new tyre and then you realise how worn it is. So I went shopping for another pair of boots. Now, because these were such a good buy and served me well, and they were pretty much very comfortable out of the box from the word go, I went looking for another pair of those, but as luck would have it, they weren't anywhere to be found. That's a discontinued model, and in fact from Carrymore I couldn't find anything comparable, which I was very disappointed about initially. Anyway, looking around my local outdoor shop, I was trying out, you know, I was kind of forced to try out different boots, and I came across these. Now these are the Salomon 4D, Quest 4D boots, and I just stumbled across these. I think it was right at the end of the lifetime of this model. There was a changeover to what I presume now is the Quest 4D2. Very similar spec boot, but these were in the sale and they were about £50 cheaper. So I tried them out. I almost didn't try them out because being in the sale, they had a limited number of pairs, and I was actually shopping for size 11, which is what these Carrymore boots were, and they only had a size 10, and I almost didn't try them because I thought I needed a size 11. But the guy in the shop persuaded me to try them on, and I did, and actually they were perfect. And this revealed another interesting fact to me, which is I've been walking around for 10 years or more in a pair of boots that were too big, and in retrospect those Carrymore boots are really far too big, and that's one of the reasons why they've started, I suppose, to fold in on themselves. You know, when you lace them up really tight to give you the support you need, they're starting to pinch together at the lower end of the lacing, and so, you know, again, this is just a heads up really. Don't get too hooked on something that works for you and presume that it's perfect, because actually my experience of these Salomon boots has been absolutely fantastic. You know, these were from the word go, out of the box, brilliant boots, very supportive. I mean, you can read all about the specs on Salomon's website here, but you know, again, it's a fabric boot with a nubuck surround and trimmings. I say trimmings, I mean, I'm sure these things are structural as well. You've got a rubberized toe cap, which is very rugged. And all this ruggedness doesn't compromise the lightness. You know, these are really light. I mean, the Carrymore boots are light, but these are even lighter. These are something like 650 grams per boot, as opposed to about 750 for the Carrymores. I love the lacing system on this. There's this, I don't know if this is unique to Salomon, but it's a fantastic feature where the lace goes through this, I don't know if you can see that. The lace goes through this guide here, and I think there's actually serrations on there that somehow grip onto the lace. So you can actually lace the boot up and it will stay tight, but you don't have to have it laced up tightly above that around the ankle. So that can be, I mean, I'm not explaining that very well. I'm sure they've got a good explanation of that online. But it adds up to very much more comfortable boot. Just superlative support. I mean, the sole's got all sorts of technology in it, which I won't go into. I didn't like the way these boots looked completely at first. What you can't see here, because they're a bit dirty, is this sort of surround to the sole and the heel is actually sort of translucent or even transparent. And when these boots were new, they looked a little bit kind of gimmicky. But you know, a couple of times out on the trail and now it's just disappeared really. You can't tell. Now these boots are getting quite a lot of wear as well, and so I was looking around, you know, ahead really to when I might have to think about replacing these. And of course, because they were such good boots, I was looking at Salomon. And again, the models have moved on. There is still the Quest 4D2 GTX boot, which is the immediate successor to this, and it's pretty much the same boot as far as I can tell. But there's another new model, which is the Quest Origins 2, and as far as I can tell, that boot was pretty much the same as this one, but with some upgrades. I mean, it looks a little bit different, and there's different colour schemes and so on, but it's tougher leather around the outside trim, and it's got leather on the inside of the tongue and the surround as well, and there's probably other differences. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I ordered and bought a pair of those, and here they are. These are virgin boots. They have yet to taste the outdoors. And you know, visually they're somewhat different, but I mean, this is a different colour scheme. Obviously this is some sort of green scheme. They come with yellow laces. They do come with an alternative set of laces which are just black. I'm presuming that's not just a spare, that's a a concession to people who don't want to perhaps go out with the flamboyance of yellow laces. Again, this surround with the yellow flashes, you know, I'm sure that's going to be obscured after 1 or 2 days out walking. Very similar to the 4D boots. There's a little bit of difference in the toe here. This toe protection doesn't look quite as extensive on the new boot. Something that did worry me slightly, I'm not sure if I'll be able to illustrate this. So this is the left boot of the new one and the right boot of the old one. If you put sole to, so they've got identical tread pattern and construction on the sole as far as I can tell, and these are the same size. I ordered up size 10s again. If you put sole to sole, something that was a slight worry, the new boot, I don't know if you can see that, is actually, the sole is narrower by probably as much as 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters towards the toe area. And also if you look down on the boot, I'll try and show you this, you're probably not going to see it. You know, there is a subjective sense that those boots are narrower towards the toe end. You know, that worried me because it's really, you know, as I've got more kind of experience of doing longer walks and you know, trying different boots, you know, I've realised how important certain aspects of the boot are. So obviously, you know, you don't want your feet sliding around, you want the heel support, toe protection, but good support, I mean good arch support. I mean, that's absolutely crucial for me. I've got terribly flat feet. But a good width at the front, you know, because you'll have trouble with your toenails, and if you have a boot that squeezes too tightly, or you'll get blisters on the outside. But not too wide so that you have to lace it to pinch the boot artificially tightly. You know, lots, again, I mean, I won't go into too much of the nuances, but so that width can be critical, and different manufacturers have all sorts of different kind of foot shapes and widths. So, as I say, that was a bit of a worry. Now, all I can say at the moment is I've laced these boots up and tried walking around the house with them, and actually there's no appreciable difference in feel to the 4D2 boots. So time will tell out on the trail after, you know, 5 or 6 or 10 miles whether that holds up. So I should go back and scrutinise the specs on the website. You know, it may be that there's a difference in the design width. I don't think these come in different foot widths. You know, some manufacturers will do a wide fit and a regular fit and so on. So I'm hoping, and I suspect this is just a difference in the sole, and it isn't going to have any lasting effect on the performance of the boot. So that's about it. You know, just again in terms of construction, as I say, we've got the same lacing system, which is great. These boots feel a bit stiffer. I suspect that's because they're new, not because they're intrinsically stiffer. You know, these are probably maybe 2 years old now, these the 4D boots, so they feel a bit softer. The leather here, it's pretty much identical in terms of the extent of the leather trim. On the 4D boot it's nubuck, which nubuck is essentially full grain leather but with a distressed surface. This seems to be just leather, there's no distressing on that. I don't know if that's just a detail of, you know, the aesthetic. Otherwise, you know, the rest of the construction of this boot is fabric. We've got different kind of trim on the tongue there. I suppose significantly on the lining of the tongue, at least down to here, it's leather, soft leather, and again around the cuff. Is that what you call that bit? That's leather trim, as opposed to fabric. Don't really know what effect that's going to have. Obviously have some effect on durability. We've got the same sole inside. What is this Ortholite system? Man-made insole. Doesn't look particularly substantial, that, I have to say. But you know, it's held up in the other boot. Of course, you can chop and change insoles, and indeed, in these Brasher boots, these were very expensive boots. Can't remember exactly how much. But on top of the price of the boot, I went an extra, I think, £40 to buy these Superfeet insoles. In fact, you can see how little wear these 3-season boots have had by the fact you can still read the legend on the the insole, and they're kind of not too much wear on those. So at the end of the day, I could probably take those out and put them in the Salomon boots, although they're probably different. I think these are probably a size 11. So there it is. That's the Quest 2 Origins from Salomon. So really the next thing to do is to take these out into the world, give them a bit of a hammering and see how they do. So watch out for that. Well, okay, short interlude there, and I've been out, had a bit of a go with the new boots. It's a very dry day today and the ground's pretty hard, so not much evidence to show activity. The boots are still pretty clean and new looking. I think got a bit of dirt on the bottoms there. And I'm pleased to say that my expectations haven't been confounded. These are every bit as comfortable as the 4D GTX boots. Right out of the box, you know, literally first time I wore them. Went about 6 miles today. Fair bit of up and down, hard terrain, no mud around really. Not a lot more to say really. You know, I mean, I suppose I could benefit from taking these on a couple of 10-mile hikes in mud and rain and snow and so on, and have a little bit more to say. But at the end of the day, that's kind of walking is what I do. You know, they're just supremely comfortable from the outset, and so I would say these are highly recommended. Are they any different or any better than the Quest 4D? Well, I mean, I can't say. You know, at the moment there's very little to choose between them. The only thing I can think is the performance is going to be pretty much identical. Maybe the durability is going to be slightly improved, but we're going to need a couple of years before I can really comment on that. The price is variable. I think the list price is, I'm not even sure what the list price is, something in the region of £150. I paid 130. 130 is about the best price you can get on the internet sites. And I've got these next day delivery, which I paid for. You can get them free delivery if you're prepared to wait a couple of days. You can get these on Amazon. I got them from outdoorgb.com, and I think they offered free delivery. I was prepared to wait a couple of days. I paid like $7.50 and they genuinely came the next day. And they're perfect, exactly what I expected. Very happy with those.